Hi, welcome to another episode of the Gull Mouth Action podcast, where we take a look at the latest goings on at Brighton and Hove, Albion, Crawley Town and sport in Sussex. I'm Mark Dunford, and this week I've been joined by Brighton and Hove Albion writers Derren, Howard and Sam Morton. Albion picked up a famous win over Roma on Thursday, but it wasn't enough as the Seagulls European adventure came to an end. We'll pick over the bones of Brighton's Europa League exit and their Premier League win over Nottingham Forest, plus we look back at yet another excellent week for Crawley Town. You can read all the stories we are talking about with videos and pictures online at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. You can check out other great videos on shotstv.com and Freeview channel 276. You may also be watching on Latest TV, so thank you for tuning in. So Brighton's Europa League adventure ended at the last 16 stage, despite their victory over Roma at the Amex on Thursday night. RDZ's side had their chances, but a 4-0 defeat at the Stadio Olimpico in the first leg meant this task was beyond them. It was a great performance on the night, wasn't it, Sam? But the damage was done in the first leg, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that, Mark, really. It was always going to be pretty much an impossible task, obviously barring an absolute miracle. And you felt that Brighton needed an early goal to be able to give themselves the best chance of doing it. And I think they weren't able to quite do that. They had the chances. They started really well. The atmosphere was brilliant. The fans were really up for it, booing every touch of the ball from Roma and cheering every ball that was touched by Brighton. And I really liked the moment as well where the ball went out for a throw in and Enciso turned to the fans and proper cheered them up. Was really kind of up for the occasion kind of thing. And you really felt like Brighton were sensing a miraculous comeback, and they just needed that early goal. And they obviously got one eventually with a superb strike from Danny Welbeck. It really was brilliant from long distance into the top corner. And Roma then started to use a bit of their European experience, a bit of their know-how to slow the game down, really
the dark
time waste, basically. The dark arts, and it was really frustrating to watch, to be honest. And I think after the goal, it must have been about 5 minutes where the ball was barely in play. I think I saw Pascal Gross get really frustrated when he's waiting to take a free kick, and it was all this chaos going in the penalty box, and no one really knew what was going on. And I think the fans were getting quite restless. I think Brighton played well, really, and I think they in the second half particularly, they had so many chances to get more goals. I think Adingra should have scored. He had two really good headed chances, especially the second one. Van Hecker came up for a couple of chances with headers. So they had the chances, absolutely. I think especially if that Adingra header goes in, it could have been a different story. But I think you've got to credit Brighton for the way they responded and the way they performed last night. And they definitely probably put Roma under a little bit of pressure. They must have been a little bit worried, I reckon. And obviously it was a bit feisty. I think it was about 8 yellow cards, including to both managers as well. So yeah, it was a really entertaining game to watch.
And the fans had a blinder with their sign in the reply to their distasteful sign that they had at the Stadio Olimpico. I'm not going to say what it said there, but the one last night was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was excellent. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it was just taking the mick out of De Rossi and putting pineapple on pizza, which is a really light-hearted way of poking fun at the Italians after what they said about the Queen and everything last week. So it's what football's all about, I think. And it's brilliant to see.
I don't like to have a go at the Italians, but the way they treated us at that entry gate, Sam, I'm happy for anybody to slag off the Italians. So yes. Anyway, it's been a marvellous European adventure for the Seagulls, hasn't it, Derren? Albion fans will no doubt cherish the wins over Ajax and Marseille, but RDZ's side can certainly hold their head high after that run, can't they?
Absolutely, yeah. It's to actually get to that stage where they were competing with some of these, famous names across Europe. It was a great achievement for the club, and hopefully it's given them a taste to do it again as well. It's they're still well in the mix to finish within the European places again for next season, and that's the challenge now. They've had a taste of it now. The fans really enjoyed it. It was a great occasion for the club and a great experience for a lot of these younger players who have come through at Brighton recently. And the challenge is really now to finish the season strongly. They've got a break now until March the 31st because the international break. They play Liverpool then, but they really need to sort of take stock now, have a little bit of a breather, hopefully get some of the injured players back, such as João Pedro, James Milner, and then really push on for these last tranche of games where they can hopefully qualify for Europe once again.
Yeah.
And the fans will love it.
Yeah, I'm going to put you both on the spot a little bit. What are all the permutations with the? I saw we were messaging each other last night, and it was like with West Ham winning and Aston Villa obviously going to probably win the Conference League, and that Arsenal will win the Champions League. They won't. Yes, and Liverpool probably winning. What are the permutations, and does it matter how many teams in the Premier League can actually get into Europe next year?
Yeah, it's as it stands at the moment, Brighton are in a European spot, so that's 8th in the table at the moment, and in a European place. Whether that's going to be Europa League or Europa Conference League, we're not too sure at the moment. But yeah, it could go down as far as potentially to 9th place this year, depending on who wins.
Crazy, isn't it?
FA Cups and certain competitions. So yeah, the door is definitely open for Brighton to get into the Europe once again.
Yeah, and obviously they started that on last Saturday when they beat Nottingham Forest 1-0. It wasn't pretty, was it, Sam? But they did the job.
Yeah, exactly that. It was one of those games where they had to just get the job done by any means, really. I think we've seen so many times, really, at home against teams they should be beating, that they drop points. We even saw it at home against Sheffield United, Burnley. So I think this time it was so vital that they got that win, and it was a definite good way of responding after the defeat at Rome to get that 1-0 win. Obviously through an own goal from a Pascal Gross assist, because of course it was. So yeah, it was as you say, not a pretty game, and Sheffield United on another day could have nicked an equaliser.
Nottingham Forest.
Sorry, Nottingham Forest. And obviously Yakamoto was very fortunate, I think, as well. He could have seen
how
red.
that wasn't a red card was unbelievable.
Yeah, it could have. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It could have been a repeat of that Sheffield United game where Dahoud got sent off, and then Sheffield found an equaliser afterwards. So yeah, it's fortunate that Lightning didn't strike twice in that sense. But yeah, no, a good victory and a much needed one to get back to winning ways.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Moda thing, because you look at John McGinn's challenge, where he got given a straight red, which I think it was a straight red. I've seen people saying that they didn't think it was, but it wasn't quite as bad as Jacob Moda's challenge, was it? I didn't think.
No. Both of them were quite bad, weren't they? I think, especially I was watching that John McGinn one at the time it happened, and it looked dreadful, the kind of force that he went in at. But yeah, Moda was very high, wasn't he? Very high up on with the challenge. Yeah. So yeah, very fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. So owing to the international break, which you mentioned earlier, Derren, and their FA Cup exit, Brighton won't be kick a ball until the 31st of March. Seems a long way off, actually, when they visit title challenging Liverpool. Has the break come at a good time for them, though, now, do you think? Can they take stock after the Europa League?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say it's a perfect time to have a break, especially now. Now that they're out of Europe, they can really focus on the rest of the Premier League season. And just get a chance to see where they're at. And as I said earlier, just the likes of João Pedro hopefully coming back will be a huge boost for Brighton.
He's key, isn't he? He's key to their running.
Yeah, he's got 19 goals so far this season, and he was so good in the Europa League matches as well. And missing him and the likes of Karamatoma as well. And Ciso still isn't, he's not fully firing either as yet. So they're three, big attacking players for Brighton. And I know we were speaking just before the podcast about Ansu Fati as well. Like he's had, he's struggled really on loan. He came from Barcelona with high expectations in his loan period, and he's had a tough time. He physically doesn't look up to the Premier League, and you just hope that he can just show some of his class in the final stages and try and make a success of his loan as much as possible. So yeah, there's still a lot to play for, but they need a little break and then come back refreshed and then really go for it, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam, you were quite excited. I remember you getting quite excited when they signed Fati. You couldn't quite believe it. Has he been a bit of a disappointment to you?
Yeah, you've got to say he has, really. I think as you say, for the excitement and the kind of the shock that was just around the whole of football when he did sign for Brighton, no one could really believe that they managed to pull it off, really. You'd probably expect more from him performance-wise. I think we've seen glimpses, obviously in the Europa League, where he got a couple of goals against Ajax. I think he scored a consolation goal against Manchester City, and a couple of other goals here and there. But he's not pulled up many trees, really. Obviously, he had that long injury break, which came at a bad time. He was just starting to find a little bit of form at the time, a couple of goals, and then he had his injury. And since returning, he's really not been at it. I think he showed glimpses when he came on last night. He nearly scored a screamer from about 20 yards out that forced the keeper into a great save. And it was a moment at the byline where he kind of slipped over, but he managed to keep the move going. So a couple of moments, but that's all it's been. It's all it's really been with Fatty. Really, you've not seen anything consistent and any like kind of world class moments that kind of get you off your chairs, really. But it's a frustrating one, and time is obviously running out for him to make a big impact, and hopefully he can do that in the final Premier League games, because obviously Brighton have got a lot to play for. We're trying to get into Europe, and they can also have a huge say in who eventually wins the title as well, because they've got to play Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City before the end of the season. So I think similar to last year, actually, they could have a really big say on how the title race goes, and just hopefully we start to see the best of Ansu Fati. And I suppose it makes it more frustrating, more noticeable when there's so many other key players out. When you've got your João Pedros and Karim Tomes out, you're relying on your Ansu Fatis to really step up. And he probably hasn't done as much as we would have liked to have seen him.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Enough boring Premier League chat. Let's talk about League Two. So we're going to take a quick break. And then after the break, Derren's going to take the reins as the chairperson. And me and Sam are going to talk about Crawley.
Okay, Crawley Town have their League Two playoffs firmly within their sights after a pair of fine 2-1 victories last week, starting away at Harrogate Town on Saturday. That was a good performance, wasn't it, Mark? Sum that up.
Yeah, it was. It was a funny one because they started off brilliantly, and then on 20 minutes, Dion Conroy, sort of one of their more experienced players and captain on the day, went down injured. Joy McKenna came on, who hasn't had many starts this year. He's played in the EFL Trophy. Came on a couple of sub performances, but he came on, and then they just looked a little bit tentative after that for about 10 minutes. They conceded the goal, and they went in, but towards the end of the first half, they played really well and could have had a couple of chances. The Harrogate keeper, I think his name's James Balshaw, he was making his 200th appearance, pulled off a couple of brilliant saves, one from Harry Forster and one from Clyde Lolos. And it sort of gave Crawley a bit of a boost. But second half, there was only one team in it. Crawley were brilliant. And Forster scored first with a header from close range after a really good build-up. And then Clyde Lolos, we're going to talk about him a little bit more later, scored an absolute a brilliant goal. It was the kind of goal, I think me and Sam discussed it, the kind of goal if like Messi scores it, it's the greatest goal ever scored kind of thing. But reminiscent of Dele Alli's against Crystal Palace a few years ago for Tottenham, where turned on the edge of the area, volleyed it home kind of thing. It was a really good goal. And they thoroughly deserved the win. And the second half, they just seemed to play much better. Kellen Gordon on the right was absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure Sam will mention him again when we talk about the Notts County win. But Kellen Gordon's been great in the last two games and been a real pivotal figure in setting up the two wins. But really good win at Harrogate. And it set them up nicely for Notts County.
Yeah, good stuff. And so, they are within 2 points now of the playoffs, thanks to their sort of come from behind victory at Notts County on Tuesday. Sam, how impressed were you by Crawley and their sort of never say die attitude on the night?
I can't speak highly enough of the performance from Crawley against Notts County. Really, it was in all the years I've been covering Crawley, it was right up there as one of the best and the most exciting I've seen. Wow. I think right from the off, Crawley were on the front foot, trying to take the lead. And it was really against the run of play where Notts County went 1-0 up in the first half, and you felt that Crawley did not deserve to be behind at half time. And Marcus just mentioned Kellen Gordon was incredible, really. I think I lost count of how many crosses he put into the box, and he even had a couple of shots on goal as well. And I think the Notts County players just didn't seem to be picking him up. He seemed to have so much space on that right flank. And you could just see him show so much frustration that after one of his many crosses, I think he turned around and he threw his arms out and said, how many crosses do I need to put in before they score kind of thing. I think Danilo Orsi had a bit of an off night and he could have connected with a couple of crosses. And I think any one of the players in the Crawley shirt could have connected with a Kellen Gordon cross, which is so perfectly weighted almost every time. And yes, it was a real kind of sense of frustration. They weren't leading at halftime, or at least drawing, but they responded so well. And then they did have to wait a little while to get that equaliser. But it was Clyde Lolos who had a bit of a quiet first half that came to life in the second, and it was a classy finish from a Harry Forster pass that levelled the scoring. And that did come not long after a red card, actually, I should mention, for Notts County, which was the key turning point, you would say. But it was more than deserved to get that leveller. And then it was Adi Adiemo that fired a winner a few minutes later that you just knew, you just felt it was coming. You felt after the equaliser there's only going to be one winner. And it was brilliant to see Adiemo. It was such an accurate finish from a short corner routine. And it was his first goal in professional football as well. And we spoke to him after the game, and he couldn't hide his smile, really, just how excited he was to get that goal. And in such a huge moment, such a huge win. And as I say, it was a brilliant game. Really, really enjoyed it. And the win eventually was the least they deserved, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great performance.
Yeah, no, it's been good to see that they're doing so well. But the big question now, Mark, I guess, is can they get to Wembley, and what's the feeling around the camp, and how many more wins do you think they need to sort of guarantee that playoff spot?
Well, the quick answer is yes, they can get to Wembley, I think. But yeah, they've got, so it's 10 games left now. They started that run against Stockport at home on Monday. Obviously not going to be easy because Stockport are title chasing along with Mansfield and Wrexham. But Stockport are having a bit of a dodgy run at the moment. I think they've only won one in their last 6, so it's a good chance to play them. They played last night against Salford, and drew 2-2. So it's a good chance to play them. They've got to now travel down to Crawley on Sunday before the game on Monday, but then Crawley, they've got a tough little run where they've got Tranmere away, Newport away, Mansfield away, and Wrexham away, all within sort of 2 or 3 weeks of each other. In the middle of that is Doncaster at home on Good Friday. But if they can get through that and pick up a couple of wins, their last 4 games are actually quite generous on paper. I mean, nothing's ever easy. But so, I mean, they're 2 points off the playoffs at the moment with 2 games in hand. If they can pick up 5 or 6 wins from those last 10 games, if they can win half the last games, I think 6 wins would take them to 73 points. And if they can get a couple of draws in that, that'll be more than enough. And I spoke to Scott Lindsay yesterday, and I tweeted a video clip of the press conference this morning, where he basically said he would back his team against anyone over 2 legs, and he would back his team against anyone at Wembley because of the playing service and the nature they play. So, and it's funny, I sort of said to him, I said, I've interviewed lots of managers over the years, like when Littlehampton were going to FA Vars final. I won't mention his name, but a former Crawley Town manager when they're about to play Leeds and that. You sort of start talking to them. Oh, the players not allowed. Oh, they're not allowed to talk about that game because we got another game ahead of it, kind of thing. And they just don't like to talk. They don't want to see as the distraction. Scott Lindsay is actively encouraging talking about going to Wembley because he wants the players to believe they can get there. And it was really interesting hearing him talking about that. And there is a confidence there. And look at the form table. They are way above everyone else. Last 6 games, won 5, lost 1. I think everyone else is like 1, 2, drawn 2, lost 2. And he talks a lot about, it's about who holds their nerves now. And Crawley seem to be the ones, even when the last 2 games they've gone behind, they've been 1-0 down at half time and they've won both games. There's a lot of confidence in that side. And I think, 5 or 6 wins could do it. But the way the other teams are playing at the moment and dropping points, less than that could be enough for Crawley.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, I like it. I like it when managers do that as well, rather than just say, it's one game at a time. I like it when they say, no, we're going for it. He's
been such a breath of fresh air this year, Scott Lindsay. He just doesn't.
He's done a great job.
He does. He's done a great job, and he doesn't hold back in his press conferences. He says what he's thinking. There's stuff he holds back, obviously, because he doesn't want to give away too much to the oppositions and that. But he's been an absolute breath of fresh air.
Good. And one player on the pitch who's enjoyed a fabulous week is Clyde Lolos. The striker netted in both of the Reds' wins this week, taking his tally to 8 for the season in all competitions. How impressed have you been with him, Sam, since his summer switch from Oxford City?
Really impressed, actually. I think I've seen him a number of times, and he's always stood out as being one of the most technically gifted players in the team. He just looks like he can make something happen out of nowhere, which is vital to have in this league, really. If a game's a little bit cagey, you just know that he might be able to put a moment of magic, as we saw against Harrogate. It was a superb goal, and his one against Notts County was brilliant as well, which is such a kind of a casual outside the boot finish after being played in. And he's just such a classy player, really. He doesn't look like a League Two player. I think he definitely could play in a higher division, I think. And hopefully we'll do that for Crawley next season if they do get promoted. But he's been one of the standout players, absolutely. And one of the main reasons why Crawley are doing as well, and he links up really well with his other forwards as well. He has a good kind of working relationship with Danilo Orsi, and it's great to see them working off each other with Adam Campbell next to them as well. And I think it's just such a exciting attacking lineup that Crawley have got now, and that seems to be why they can score more goals. And they definitely have improved defensively, and Corey Adai has been fantastic lately. So everything seems to just fall into place nicely at the same time for Crawley, which is great to see.
Good. Yeah, and the Reds are without a game this weekend. Instead, they'll be welcoming Stockport to the Broadfield Stadium on Monday evening. Can you tell us a little bit about why Crawley won't be kicking a ball this weekend, Mark? And how do you see the one on Monday night going against Stockport?
Yeah, I sort of referenced it earlier. Yeah, because the Stockport game against Salford last night was picked for TV basically, and it was moved to last night. They obviously can't play again Saturday. I understand Stockport wanted to play Sunday, but Brighton women play at Crawley, so they couldn't play on the Sunday. So it goes to Monday. And actually, Scott Lindsay said yesterday it works. This whole fixture change for Stockport might have been on TV and that, but it works in Crawley's advantage. Stockport played Thursday night, got to travel down to Crawley on Sunday ready for the Monday game and that. So it's everything. And Crawley have had a rest since Tuesday. It'll be nearly a week since they've played. So it sort of works in their favour. So, I mean, the way Crawley are playing, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I don't think it would be a shock if they beat Stockport as well, although Stockport, I think they're still third in the division. Oh, they went up to second last night with their draw. I don't see it as a shock if Crawley win. And I think they're more than capable of beating them.
Especially
they drew three all earlier in the season there after they were 2-0 down. Crawley went 3-2 up, and then Stockport got a late equaliser. So more than capable of winning that game on Monday.
Good stuff. And just some score predictions then. With how do you see the Crawley versus Stockport, Sam? They've obviously Mark was saying they've got a great chance, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have got a great chance. I think you mentioned they've only got one win in the last 6 games, Stockport, and they've got games in hand to go top of the league actually. So their form before that was brilliant. So you know that they could cause some problems for Crawley. But I think this will be a draw. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, which I think would be a good result for Crawley.
Yeah. Do you think?
I think 1-0 is a good result for Stockport. I think.
I was going to say. You think they'll go better? Do you, Mark? You think they'll get?
I think so. I can see the third 2-1 on the bounce kind of thing, and you can probably see them going behind again, but fighting back. I mean, I think there was a sort of a little bit of disappointment with how many fans were there on Tuesday night, because I think it was 2,500, but I think they were expecting a bit more for such a big team like Notts County to come and visit. So. But I think if they can get a bit more there Monday night, it'd be like Monday night football. I mean, I know Carragher and Neville won't be there, but I think if they can get the fans there, I mean, it'll be the place will be pumping if Crawley can get an early goal and really put Stockport under pressure. I think they can win.
You think they can win? Yeah, good stuff. And just quickly, Sam, you've had a lucky sort of role of being able to cover Brighton and Crawley this season. How have you enjoyed both of the experiences? Because obviously Brighton have been going well, in Europe, or apart from last night, and Crawley are going as well. They've got lots to play for as well. Yeah,
it's a journalist's dream, really. It's really great to cover both teams at their kind of the high points, really. And obviously, we saw the best of Brighton last season in what was an historic season to get them to Europe. And now this season, I've obviously had the opportunity to go up to Amsterdam and to Rome as well, which has been 2 incredible experiences, really. And even to watch them at home against these teams, and it's been brilliant and really surreal, really, to see Brighton competing against Europeans' best clubs. And obviously in the league as well, they have struggled to kind of find that consistency with the injuries they've had. So it's been a real interesting season to cover for Brighton. And yeah, obviously Roberto De Zerbi has remained kind of so stubborn all the way through, isn't he, with the kind of his tactics and everything. And it's been interesting to see how he deals with the situations that come at him. But I think they've done a brilliant job, really, in the circumstances to do as well as they've done with the amount of players out. I think, Serbi said last night, actually, you mentioned the Roma players that weren't playing last night, but imagine if you didn't have them for months on end, like we've not had our best players kind of thing, which I think was a really good point and just summed up the situation that Brighton are in. And as we've mentioned with Crawley Town, it's been brilliant to cover them. Scott Lindsay's got them playing the best football that I've seen them play ever, really. It's been so exciting to watch. And I never thought we'd be saying last season when they were on the brink of relegation, a year later they'd be potentially going to Wembley for a playoff final if all goes well. So very exciting times for Crawley. And they're great to see. I think it's two clubs that are on the up. Brighton, Crawley, absolutely.
In Sussex. Great to see it. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, you can catch up with all the latest sports news covering everything we've talked about today at sussexworld.co.uk, and you can watch more excellent videos on shotstv.com and Freeview channel 276. Thanks for joining us.